With the emergence of payday loans and instant loans being provided by fintechs and banks in Nigeria, there is now a real market for credit reporting. We talked to Ademola Adesalu of one of the largest credit reporting companies in Nigeria. We discussed on how their business has transformed in the last 10 years. We talk about the technology that enables their business, and we speak about the future of where the credit reporting is going. So thank you for joining us today. But for the audience, can you tell us a bit about your background?
Okay, my name is Ademola Adesalu. I have a degree in electrical engineering and a master's degree in business administration. My focus is on management. I started my career with Pricewaterhouse as an auditor, and after a while I figured that, look, all I want to be is an engineer and building things and doing projects. So I joined Telnet Nigeria Limited. I mean, back then technology was not this advanced in Nigeria. So we were, I think, the second generation of individuals, that had to work together to build infrastructure for organizations. I'm talking of things as simple as having a local area network and having a wide area network or metropolitan area network, building data communication infrastructure, operating systems, email services, and co. And of course, now connecting to the internet. So those were some of the stuff I did in Telnet. And like I always remember, back then, the financial institutions were using telex to do foreign transfers. It's pretty manual and crude. So I was charged with the responsibility of migrating financial institutions to using SWIFT. That's the Society for Worldwide Interbank Transfer Technology. So the SWIFT. So with that, foreign transfers is done, in seconds, and every financial institution has an identity that cuts across globally. So after doing that for a while, I joined Accenture. Special emphasis on wanting to learn consulting, and that provided that atmosphere for me to do that. And of course, during that time, I did a bit of technology strategy work, and that then brought me into the financial space where I don't know if you remember, there used to be a bank called Standard Trust Bank. They needed to they had quite a number of institutions attached to them.
Okay.
And the concept of shared services was new then. So we were part of the team that was hired to build a shared service infrastructure and solution that cuts across hiring, technology, procurement for the bank and its affiliates.
Okay.
And just towards the end of 2005, I think, the bank had a merger with UBA. So naturally, I was part of the team that focused on technology infrastructure, merger then.
Okay.
Before I left. I was then called upon again, because there's been new companies for me since that time. I was then called up again when Transcorp was formed. Again, business plan, nothing on ground, put the infrastructure together. So pretty much set up the technology infrastructure and the technology department for the organization. And once that was done, the company was focused on acquiring. They acquired the Hilton Nitel at that time.
Yep.
So I was part of the team that did the Nitel, that looked at some of the Nitel processes during the acquisition. And then during that project also, I just got a call and said, look, okay, we need to set up the first and the biggest credit bureau in Nigeria. So a couple of banks came together along with IFC, along with Accenture, to say, look, we need to build this. So here's the business plan, and this is the team. So my MD interviewed me and said, look, I need you to translate this into reality.
Right.
So I focused more on, the infrastructure, the technology, the software, and getting the business to switch on and, start working. And then also, it's a regulated industry. So there is a licensing process. So I was head of the team that worked with the central bank to make sure that the organization got its license. And in June 2009, we got our license. But prior to that, January, we went live with the service. But in June 2009, we officially started the bureau business. That means getting data from data providers and then providing credit information. So after we've been doing that now for about 10 years. And today I head the operations and technologies function of the business.
Well, that's a great story. So you were part of the founding team that started this business in 2009. How have you seen the business transform and the industry transform between then and now?
Nice question. It simply put, but I'm not going to make it look so simple. It's transformed from just a piece of paper,
okay,
to a company that now, warehouses, tens of millions of records. Credit and individual and corporate records. From just having one or two institutional users to thousands of institutional users, you understand, to providing just one or two services, now providing both the credit information report, which is what you expect to get from the credit bureau, and now to also providing credit scores powered by FICO.
FICO?
Yeah, that's Fair Isaac.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can now get a FICO score from CRC. We also are the reference point from global institutions that are interested in development indices in sub-Saharan Africa. So the ones that focus on Nigeria. We get inquiries from the World Bank regularly based on the quality of information that we provide. We were part of the team that worked with the federal government on the ease of doing business.
Okay.
As being a stakeholder, because part of the criteria for the ease of doing business is access to credit.
Okay.
And of course, naturally, they came to CRC, and we worked with them and provided all that is necessary, which of course you and I know during that period, the ranking of Nigeria went up.
Okay, so what have been the key challenges sort of growing the business from, say, just two institutions in like 9-10 years ago to thousands of institutions now that are using your platform?
I think the most memorable challenge for me is getting buy-in.
Okay.
Here is something that is useful to you. When you put the data of your borrowers out there,
yeah,
especially the ones that have been owing you and have absconded,
yeah,
they will not be able to get any credit in Nigeria,
yeah,
provided the data is out there.
okay,
Because no new borrower, no new lender will look at a bad credit report and say, okay, I told you I want to give you more, right?
yeah.
So we thought that with just that logic, more people will say, hey, take my data, take my data. It didn't happen that way. And this is where I give a lot of credit to my MD. He focuses on the business side of things. So with him, he came up with a model that says, look, constant communication, get more stakeholders to join this crusade,
yeah,
and we will see the transition. So we were out there all the time talking to the different types of lenders. We were engaged the central bank regularly, and somehow they also understand the reasons why this is important, and they've been with us full throttle. When I say us, our own credit bureau and the rest of the crew. We now have an association called CBAN. That's the Credit Bureau Association of Nigeria, that brings us all under one umbrella.
Okay.
And we communicate with the central bank on a regular basis, and they were able to provide support for us. And of course, the World Bank, IFC, their constant, interaction with us to say, okay, this is how it's done. These are things that are happening in other climes, learning from them was very important and instrumental into getting that buy-in. And after that, now things got better. People were seeing the value proposition. People were, so we hear comments like, we never knew this customer would come to our office. And the customer keeps knocking and saying, look, I need this because I hear your other colleague will not give me a loan because until I fix this.
Right.
Then on a lighter note, I started getting calls from friends that have not called me in a long time.
Really?
Yes. So they just go, oh, Ademola, how are you doing? I say, come on, what's going on here? I say, how's work? I understand you're with the credit bureau. I say, yeah. I say, you know what? I was trying to take a loan somewhere and, they refused to give me. They said I have this loan from somewhere. And I go, did you take a loan? Some of them will go, no.
Okay.
And someone will say yes. I said, but come up straight with me. So the ones that actually say no, so I need to explain because this is also very useful. Yeah. The ones that actually no, are people who have, Tolu works with a bank and comes to Ademola and say, Ademola, look, I have a target to open an account. I say, look at my body. Okay, so you now open the account and left it. There are charges that goes into your account. You understand? Okay. So those charges were creeping into maybe the small money that you put in there. The moment it crosses into the negative position, your data comes to the bureau.
Wow.
So that's why I tell people that say, look, if you're not operating an account, either you close it or you keep funding it somehow. You monitor it. So that created a problem for some of them. And of course, they had to go back to the bank and settle it. Then some are also cases of people who, paid up the loan and did not, bother to do the tidying up.
Right.
Okay, and of course, what then happens is they go to the bank again, and with all the necessary papers that were provided at the closure, reconcile, and then the banks send an update to us, and you get a clean bill. Okay. So that for me showed some form of engagement and use.
Okay.
So once we started getting there, we say, well, okay, how do we get more? Because the next challenge now is to get more people to know that credit bureaus exist in Nigeria, and your credit report is very important.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting. So you're saying if I have an account that is negative 400 naira now, I need to go and settle that very quickly.
Correct.
Because you would have the file.
And it will affect your score, obviously.
That's very interesting, actually. Very interesting. So let's move on to technology and your industry. How does technology, play a part of your business and your industry today?
Technology is the foundation.
Okay.
Okay, see, credit reporting is more than 300 years old. So they use ledgers and all that. But imagine trying to do that for thousands of institutions, thousands of millions of individuals and organizations, and then millions of different credit types. Yeah. The manual process won't work. And in this day and age where you want to make a credit decision, now, of course, we added to the fintechs, who wants to give you a loan in 5 or 3 minutes. You understand? You can't afford to use anything manual. Okay. So technology is an enabler for us, and it makes the work faster and easier.
Okay. And so we're now in the age of obviously artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain. Where does this come to play in your business and your industry? Do you see these technologies as disruptors, or do you see them as enablers for your business?
They are enablers. Okay. They are enablers in the sense that the way machine learning and artificial intelligence work, my understanding of it is, one, it's helping decisioning. It's I don't want to use the word dehumanizing. It's removing emotion from decisions. Okay. It's making decisions based on facts that are available. So it is an enabler. Now, for the bureaus, I think that it is something that we would have to incorporate into service in the immediate future. I'm talking 1 or 2 years from now. But for the lenders, is something that if they are not already using, most will probably be planning to implement now.
Okay.
Because the way it works is that we are a data source or an information source, along with other, information sources. Now, sitting between the information source and the decision is an algorithm, and that algorithm is what you call AI.
Okay.
Or what you call machine learning, because it automates. It's constantly, looking at the information and adjusting itself, adjusting its model, adjusting itself based on the data on ground, and then helping either the end user make certain achieve certain results. So they can use it now, or they may be using it now in their credit decisioning system.
Okay. That's interesting. And where do you see the industry going in, say, 5, 10 years?
I think that the industry, like I said, is still, I mentioned that we're still like in primary school.
Okay.
There's still a lot more to do. We have, how do I put it? We have other institutions outside of Nigeria, especially in Europe and America, that have been doing this for hundreds of years. The TransUnion, the Equifax, and the Experience. There are a lot of things that they are doing that we are yet to do. And it's not that we will follow their path, but we don't have 100 years ahead of us, that we don't have that luxury. We may need to short-circuit so many things. So that's one. The other part of it is that I see that we will most likely be expanding our information sources, our data sources, so that the overall decision is not solely made on just the credit data only, because I mean you need to capture those who are taking loans for the first time.
Okay.
You understand? So I see that happening, and of course I also see the adoption of the advanced technologies, like I told you, the AI, the machine learning, into the system, and so that it makes decisioning and the process of getting the data and transforming it into useful information a lot faster.
Fantastic. So what are some of the interesting things you're working on today at CRC?
We started off first with, the lenders. Our focus in recent times has been more now on the borrowers. The same way you are constantly looking at your bank balance to make sure your funds are there, you make an investment, you're checking up. We think that you should be looking at your credit information too, on a regular basis, so that you are not caught up in a situation where when you do need credit, somebody's giving you a bad scorecard, and you are busy figuring out how to repair it. So our focus is to ensure that you have better and easier access to your own credit information as reported by all the various sources that you borrowed money from, or you took a postpaid service from. That is one. So to that extent, one of the most recent one that we did this year is the USSD access that allows you, using your phone by dialing *565 *8#, if you are an MTN user, to access a summary of your credit position. So it just tells, and with just 100 naira, you can do that. It just shows the amount of credit you have, the balances, and whether it's performing or not. Okay, that's just something very simple. If you have an issue with that, then you then go and take a much more detailed credit. So for those who are using this, who will be using this, and who are MTN users, just make sure that this phone number is what is registered with your BVN. That's all, and voila, you get your report. So we are doing that and many more, such that, and then we also want to make it a habit, a part of you, to know that, look, I need to be cautious about what people are saying about my credit position.
That's interesting. So *565 *8# for anyone that wants to check their credit rating on MTN, like you said. So let's move on to talent. Today you're a database and information management business. I would assume, obviously, some of the data management, data analysis skills are important. But what other technical skills are important in your business today?
I think I need to break it down. I'll break it down into 4 areas. I think first of all, being able to speak to data um, using, of course, SQL or T-SQL or PL/SQL, like they say, language very well. It's it's a very important skill that we need in the business. Secondly, because we are like we are like explorers, all explorers. So we extract, we transform, and we load data. Understanding those three, how to do those three um, activities, and using modern tools to be able to do it successfully is a very important skill set that we need. Being able to analyze the data. I mean, back in the days, you think that your math and statistics skills are not used. Once you dropped your last exam, you don't need it. I mean, you're going to need it here.
So you're saying it's now important to bring back those books and start looking at maths again.
Correct. It's very important because I mean, you're thinking back, those subjects are essentially teaching you to analyze.
Yes.
Okay, and get results using formulas and tools that are there.
Okay.
So that's very important. But most the other side of it is that you also need to be able to have the mindset of the end users of your analysis, and those are the credit managers and the risk managers. So there's a need to have some form of credit skills, not to the extent that you're going to be a credit manager or a risk manager, and then you also need to have a risk management skills to understand how they are thinking. So that way it points you to relevant information, relevant data that you can then transform into something that they can use. And lastly, and very important, is the representation, which we call reporting.
Right.
Okay. You wouldn't go through that, effort of mining, millions of records and coming out with tables and charts that people cannot relate with. Okay. So it's important that you know how to present data to the end user such that it aligns with what they are requesting, and it's something they can easily understand. Do you understand? So those skills are very important. Of course, this not saying that the other foundational ones, I mean the infrastructure skills, the database administration skills are not important. They are very important because without the infrastructure which this thing sits on, you can't work. So, but for me, those 4 are very important.
So it seems like in terms of technology, you would need very technical people. So for those who are not necessarily very technical, say math hasn't really been your strongest point so far, where do you see vacancies, so for example, for other technology skills in your business?
Okay, like I said earlier, I doubt if there's one person that can have all these 4 put together. Okay. So the analysis side also, I mentioned there are 2 parts.
Yes.
There is the math and statistics skills. Okay. I talk about the credit and the risk skills.
Yes.
So those I would call the business analyst.
Okay.
Okay. The business analyst would maybe my internal subject matter experts.
Okay.
That will then point the database programmers or the techie ones to say, look, this is what this means. This is what this is nice, but you can get better results if you point it in this direction. That kind of thing. So they work hand in hand. It's not a football field that is entirely made up of strikers.
Right. Okay.
Everybody plays a particular role to have a strong team.
Exactly. Yeah. Excellent. So let's take it back to you. How do you define success? What does success mean to you?
That's a 1 hour response, but I'll try and keep it short.
Give us the summarized version.
So, success for me starts with doing what you love.
Okay.
And in some cases, getting paid for doing what you love.
Yeah, sure.
But outside of that, whatever you do, try and, seeing it impacting people's lives, impacting the way things are done. It makes me smile. Brings joy. Like I told you, for instance, back in the days, they had telex and, back in the days, you cannot do real-time transaction across banks, bank branches, right? But this was made possible through simple technologies like metropolitan area network, wide area network, and having local area networks within it. That's the application of data communications.
Right.
You understand? So when you go into when somebody envisions this, bring all the skills together, and this, you have a project and it works. That's success to me. And then also on a personal note, success is trying to be a better version of your parents. I mean, once your parents or you can see yourself as a better version of them in whatever form, I mean, I think you're successful.
Fantastic. And what book would you say has been most fundamental to your growth and to shaping your opinion as a person?
I'm a situational reader, like I said. I mean, it's because of what I do and I don't know what the next assignment is going to be. I'm always having to read one thing or the other. But the one I would talk about is the one that I always refer to the younger ones, because right now I relate more with younger ones, and I recommend it specifically because of one reason. I see a lot of hardworking guys. I see a lot of highly skilled guys who put in a lot of effort and they're eager to produce something. But in the process of producing something, they don't think about the end user. And the fact that the end user does want to use it effortlessly. So this cup of tea here, the way the cup is shaped, I don't need a manual to tell me this is the handle. Am I correct? So I recommend this book, Don't Make Me Think. They have a revisited vision. Because the book, though not being focused on a particular area, just tries to tell you that, look, in whatever you're doing, there are certain things you need to do such that when the focus should be when you finish producing it, right? Whoever is going to use it will need minimal instructions, to consume it. So I mentioned one of our common products is the fact that you provide information after a lot of analysis. The presentation, the way you package the output is very, very important, such that the guy, because it's not in your head when you were doing it, can say, oh, this is what this does, this is what this does, this is what that does. So that's why I always recommend it for them. So that also you don't get demoralized when you put in so much effort to doing something and guys are going, what is this? Do you understand? So that's why I recommend the book.
So Don't Make Me Think by Steve Kroger.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I read the book. I think it's a great book. It's a great recommendation. So as we round up 25 years, you've a career spanning 25 years. Any regrets, any mistakes, any lessons learned?
Well, there have been regrets, there's been mistakes, there's been lessons learned. But one of the things I always remind myself is that it's not what happens to you that matters. It's how you react to what happens to you that matters. I mean, I remember this film, Rocky Balboa, when he was talking to his son who was trying to blame him for his own underachievement. He goes, sorry, man, life will, keep punching you and knocking you, right? But it's your ability to get up,
right,
after each hard knock, and stand tall and say, look, bring it on, that matters. So, for me, I think that there are a lot of things I could do better, but I can't really pick anyone now because each time it happens, there's always something about being a project manager. There's something called lessons learned. I look at it and say, look, this is how I can, this is what I need to do differently. And I do it differently and I see the results and I forget about it.
You move on. Excellent advice. So what's next for you?
What's next? Wow. What's next are two things. There's the immediate one that has not been completed. And then there's the future one. I think the immediate one that hasn't been completed is still seeing a single-digit interest rate. The immediate one that hasn't been completed is to see more people have access to credit as a result of what, our organization is doing and the career I'm in, what it's doing. The immediate one that hasn't been completed is, making more people know that, Nigeria has a functional, or let me not say a functional, there are three of us actually, functional credit bureaus,
Yes.
that support the credit system in Nigeria.
Okay.
So once we achieve those, I say, well, that's done.
Okay.
So there's still a lot of work to do. So
Sure.
that's done. I think the next one will then be, okay, so after all this is done, what next? Well, I'm not a business person, so I'm not going to try and say I'm going to become a Dangote or Tedola or something. But I think I'd want to give back what I know.
Okay.
So I most likely will go back into academics somehow, someday, but I don't know how yet. But because of the huge mountain of what needs to be done immediately, I'm not really focused on that yet.
Fantastic. So vision single digit rate?
Yes.
Loading. Thank you so much for your time. And we hope to see you when we do get to the single digit rate and see how you did it.
We will know how we did it.
How we did it.
How
Okay.
we did.
Thank you
Because we're
so
going to
much.
do it together. Thank you
All right.
very much. Yeah.
Thanks.
Good.